Hey, Branson. Hey, Branson, how you doing?
How about yourself, sir? Check, check.
Hey, Branson, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you too. Good. Thanks. Hey, Tia, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
You're welcome. That's great.
All right. Are you at ECU or do you work from home or both?
I do a little bit of both. I work from home on Thursdays and I'm here at ECU Monday to pretty much the rest of the week.
Fantastic. All right. So, what do you do at ECU? What does your job entail?
I am the Veterans Affairs Coordinator here. And pretty much what I am is the liaison between student veterans and their dependents, the VA and ECU. So I make sure that they can use their education benefits from the VA to cover the cost of school.
So you're fighting the bureaucracy every day.
Yes.
Got it. Not easy.
Yes, it can be challenging, but it has its reward, seeing them achieve and graduate and just do great things after their education. I think that that side of things is very rewarding.
Fantastic. All right. Hey, Kime. Hey, Teresa. How you all doing?
Good morning, doing well.
All right. Well, we're going to try something a little different today. I'm actually in Durham, and I'm going to attempt to do this all on an iPad. So it'll be interesting to see if it works. And if not, it'll be the world's shortest class. Hey, Jack. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good, thanks. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started, attempt to do this. What we're going to see today is we're going to see an interview between a package designer and a food photographer. And it's an attempt to kind of, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say deal with, but to address the concern that the generative AI that we've been talking about is going to replace designers and artists and all that kind of thing. So this particular video, to me, is a really strong and clear description of something other than that happening, other than people losing their jobs. That the argument they make here is it actually increases the opportunities instead of limiting them for people. So hopefully you'll agree, or you'll at least listen to the argument. So let's give this a try here. Okay, and start broadcast. And let's see here. Okay. So let's see, optimize for video. Can you all see my shared screen?
Yes.
Yay. All right, let's give it a try.
All right, I'm super excited today. We've got Terry Campbell, food photographer and director. Why do we have a food photographer on Packaging Unboxed? Well, because Terry's doing some kick-ass stuff. Besides being known for his amazing work, he's done stuff for Baskin Robbins, for Jimmy John's, like you name the food brand, he's taken pictures of it. I'm going to tell you, he is one of the first people to find a real world application for AI generated images in professional work. Yeah, we're all playing around with Midjourney. We're all using Stable Diffusion. We're doing all this fun stuff, but Terry's put this stuff to work. He's going to tell us how he's doing it and like what can we do to improve our images and the way that we're generating things in AI. What he's doing is he's actually generating background images that are projected onto screens that are used as backdrops for the shoots that he's doing. He's creating complete environments to drop in photos that he's actually taken of product into like this beautiful environment that he's created. And he shares some of his favorite prompts and the tools that he's using to create these images. This episode's like a cheat code to Midjourney from a professional photographer. Do me a favor, before we get started, hit subscribe on whatever app you're consuming this content. Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Hit subscribe and leave us a rating. I appreciate that. So let's get to the show. Terry, you're a photographer. You do food. You got an amazing looking kitchen behind you at the moment. Can you give us just a quick rundown on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a commercial food photographer and director based in Cincinnati, Ohio. I've been doing this for a lot of years now. We shoot a lot of food. It's either packaging or point of purchase stuff for big national brands and a lot of stuff you see on the grocery store shelves.
So you're shooting the food photography that's going on the actual package.
Right, the food that's going on the package. So what's making you want to buy it?
And then you're doing a ton of stuff in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I'm kind of new to the space, but I've just been having so much fun and trying to find ways I can incorporate it into what I'm doing now too, into some of the work we're already producing, and not so much where the future is with that, which I think is incredible, but how I can use it now.
So that's a different take. And, the podcast that we're doing, it's a packaging focused podcast, but really AI is so new and so much is happening in there. I wanted to just shift this podcast to AI and the fact that you're using it for today. Is awesome. Like I think I saw you generating some backgrounds in AI. Is that right?
Yeah, we had a project a few months ago where we actually needed to photograph kitchens, and have them in the background of what we were doing. But we just needed to be a static shot. We didn't need much to it. So we could have shot it on a green screen. But instead, I had been watching, The Mandalorian and how they were filming that using LED TVs. And I'm like, why can't I just use a regular TV? I don't need that much space. I don't have to have a huge wall. And I like the fact that the lighting from the TV affects the shot. So we ended up just buying stock images at the time and projecting them onto a widescreen TV, set up behind the set. It worked perfectly. And so as I started using the AI, I'm like, I could use that to create some really crazy kitchens and really different stuff than I was able to find in stock. So that's been kind of a focus, is creating some kitchens and backdrops. And then that just morphed into, wow, I could just strip in a product into this and I would be done. I wouldn't have to prop the set. I wouldn't have to build the set. I wouldn't have to tear the set down. So yeah, AI has just been fitting in beautifully.
Are you playing in that, or are you actually putting that into production, like in terms of shots?
I mean, it's really early stages for clients to buy in and go with it, but I'm using it in a lot of, spec work and things that we're trying to just showcase what we can do.
So you're the first photographer that I've had on here, and I'm seeing a lot of the prompts are it might be like 3 or 4 words of the product that you want, and then there's like 100 words after it that have strictly to do with photography. So what kind of superpower does that give you as a photographer to be like, maybe these people are using way too many words? This is exactly what I want and how I want my shot to feel.
Yeah, it does understand a lot of the, photo lingo and videography lingo. So you can definitely use some of that to help. Mostly it helps with camera angle or camera position, to say drone view or to say establishing shot. Things like that will help you get a better angle. I'm rooting for the day when we can say raise the camera 10 degrees, raise that's the kind of control I would ultimately like to have. But right now it's just, I can do some more global transitions and stuff. And the verbiage, it does help, I think, to know the photography terms. I think it just helps to have, an eye toward that kind of composition and creation. Somehow I think that helps me, create a little bit better prompt in what I say. Sometimes it takes a lot of words. Sometimes it just takes a few words to get where you want to go.
So you said you use an LED screen. So can you explain that to me? Like, I'm picturing a counter with an LED screen on it and then the product in front of it, but that can't be it.
I mean, more or less, what I did just a couple weeks ago, we set up a TV, an 80-inch LED TV, and then we wheeled out an oven we have here at the studio, kind of put that in front of it, projected one of the AI kitchens on the TV via the laptop, just, took it out, put it right onto the TV, and then I can kind of live preview everything. I can see exactly what's happening in the set, see how the model's wardrobe reacts with the background. We can adjust the lighting, we can make sure things are looking right, and then we can do video or we could do still images against that, TV background. So it's just a quick way to bring things in and also to just feel the shot live instead of shooting against a gray or a green screen.
So then the benefit is you can adjust the prompt, put it up on screen and actually see it versus the old way, which was, you'd have a green screen and then now you got to figure it out in post. And you're like, oh, I wish I would have rotated that a little bit or had a different light on the product.
Right. Especially when you're dealing with like a stove in the foreground and the appliances in the background, you might go, oh, that stove needs to rotate more or twist more to really feel believable, or I need to move the camera up or down, that kind of thing.
Wow. So what are some prompt tips? Like, what are your favorite go-to prompts from a photographic standpoint?
Well, I'm learning all the time. I mean, some fun ones. Photorealistic seems like an obvious one you'd want to use, but what I'm learning is that photorealistic is also a style of painting. And Midjourney is the AI I use most, but it can sometimes interpret that to mean you want a photorealistic painting instead of a photorealistic photograph. So, I've gone to more photographic style instead of saying photorealistic. And the other one that I found so amazing the other day, I tried smiling. I tried people smiling and I just they were just over exaggerated. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, smiling doesn't work. And then I noticed someone else that had talked about their prompts and they had used grinning instead of smiling. And I was like, well, let me try that. Total difference. Like, grinning works. It's a natural smile. Smiling is like over the top. But we're in such early stages of this. There's so many changes happening so fast. I've really tried to give myself the freedom to not get too tied up into it or really, really hone down what I want, because they're going to change that algorithm and then all the prompts I have aren't going to work anyway. So I'm really trying to just explore, have fun, not get too caught up in, can I repeat this 17 times? Just kind of live in the moment and go, that's awesome. How can I use that?
Yeah, no, that's funny that you mentioned, it's funny that you mentioned the smiling versus grinning. One thing I've found is, and I don't do a lot of, people, I do a lot of packaging, right? I focus strictly on generating packaging. But one thing I was looking at is, a smile is a smile to us, but when you communicate that to somebody else, it could be like a gigantic smile. It could be like a smaller smile, like a toothy smile.
Yeah.
Where it's more about communicating the emotion inside the person versus the external visual appearance. So it's like, confidence or, a confident female or a, proud man, or, like putting in that, what are they feeling at the moment? And then it actually can build it from the inside out and show that on the face, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I've found some emotional prompts to work, happy, sad, uplifting, whatever it is. You can kind of add those and sprinkle those in, and that does kind of come back out in the way it, like you said, the different smiles, the different expressions, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then with your, so with the photo lingo, right, in terms of the drone shot and those types of things, how in depth are you getting? This episode is brought to you by idpdirect.com. They're the only packaging manufacturer that specializes in sustainable retail packaging that they've made in their own factories, which is going to save you money from having to pay distributor markups. If you need to buy packaging, check out idpdirect.com. This episode is also brought to you by specwrite.com, your packaging specifications management platform. Now, why would you want this? Well, it streamlines the project management process. It's going to standardize your design processes as well, and it's going to manage all of your documentation processes and a ton of other things. So if you're already buying packaging, check out specwrite.com. Make amazing things with specwrite.com. And now we're also brought to you by packdora.com. Go log in and get 50% off today with the promo code UNBOXED50. UNBOXD50. Check it out. It's a $200 a year service. With that code UNBOXED50, you're going to get 50% off for the first year. It's a service that I use every day to create die lines of different box structures, and it creates renderings of that artwork immediately for me. I can throw artwork on there and I can see how it all wraps and folds. And last, if you want to catch me live, I'll be speaking at Paris Packaging Week, January 25th and 26th. I'll also be speaking at Packaging Premiere in Milan, May 16th through the 18th. Let's meet. Let's connect. I look forward to meeting you in person. Let's get back to the show. How in depth are you getting?
I'm not going too crazy. I'll sometimes talk about depth of field. I might give it an f-stop because it understands f-stops, or I might say bokeh for the background. I want it blurred out. If I'm saying establishing shot, I want something really low and kind of looking up at it. If I want to be right over the top, I say drone shot. The hardest things for me to get right now are just a flat shot of a table or a wall, because sometimes I want to create just a background. And so all I want is just a straight on shot of a wall. And it's really hard to get it to understand that. Sometimes you can lower the sensitivity. There's basically a style sensitivity, because the artwork, the way the program is meant, it's meant for people that are mostly using it for just fun. And so if you put in the word, dog show, they don't, you may not want just a literal dog show. It kind of embellishes it and says, you probably want something better. So it takes your prompt and makes sure that it returns something that's pleasing. So when you are trying to get a very specific prompt, it keeps trying to translate that into something else. So what I've done is, turn down that sensitivity to say, don't apply all your styles to it. Just give me what I'm asking for. So you can lower that sensitivity sometimes when you find your prompts aren't having much of an effect. Wow.
Okay. That's a great tip. And I think style goes from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Default is
on average, it's like 100.
Yeah. Default is 100, and I've turned it down to 0 before. Wow. Trying to get it to do something.
And you're getting good results at 0?
Yeah, that's helped. Cool. Depending on how specific your prompt is.
Sure. Oh, that's awesome. And then in terms of like your f-stop, are you able to adjust, are you adjusting ISO? How crazy are you getting?
I've never worked with the ISO. Only sometimes I might give it. I was doing a project. So I say I do food, but this has really opened me up to a lot of things, because if I wanted to shoot a model, back like I used to do when I started my career, if I wanted to shoot a model, I would, have to hire a model, hire a makeup artist, do the wardrobe, do all this. It's just like to do a test or something so expensive, but I can do people, and like in AI now, I can explore that. I can see what that looks like and try things. So, doing a lot more exploration of people stuff. So I might try to get people. The other day I was thinking, okay, what's a real world use for this AI? What can we do with it now? And I thought, well, what if you were doing an ad campaign and you needed people in 1974 San Francisco? Well, you're going to have to go to Getty, look up historical images. You're going to have to get permission to use their photos if there's trademarks in there. Or you can do a photo shoot and hire the models and makeup artists, shop thrift shops, find clothing, find locations that are nondescript, it's a fiasco
lot.
either way. I can do it in AI like in a day. I can create these people and these things that are specific. So when I'm doing 1974, I'll sometimes look up what were popular cameras in 1974, so Nikon FE or whatever it is, put that in the prompt. I might put in the types of films that were popular in that day. So it would also kind of lean toward that sort of color grade, of what the film was
Sure.
in 1974.
I'm from the design side, the industrial design side, so I'm focused on like the structure but the resulting images, if you're putting in what kind of camera and what kind of film, wow, that gives you a whole separate superpower.
Well, the design side, do you try to use it to just, kind of brainstorm and create some ideas? I mean, I've done some stuff the other day where I was just kind of riffing off of this color pattern and having to give me different ideas. And I thought, if I were building a set, I would be like, well, what color should the walls be, this and that? But if I did it in AI, I'm like, okay, that's the color palette. Blue walls, yellow curtains, that's what we need. So I think as a designer, it gives you that opportunity to, explore ideas and see things you might not have even thought of or come across in your normal, research for a project. Yeah.
So it's the same, right? For packaging, I might pick a specific bottle type, and at this point it's learned enough. I feel like I'm the only one teaching it packaging at this point, but it feels like, like there's different types of, wine bottles, like a port bottle or a champagne bottle, or, like a vodka bottle are typically long and tall. And you can ask for like a longer neck. You can ask for like the glass color, you can add a radius to the edges. The results are coming back are, a lot of people are complaining that, well, that's not realistic. That's not manufacturable today. And it's like, that's great. Because most designers were taught to design within what's manufacturable. So there's that limit, right? If I can create something that's completely impossible, that pushes me so far out of what's realistic that I can then pull it back and I'll still have a resulting design that nobody else would have considered. It pushes you super far. And then, you get to play around with different styles that you probably wouldn't want to go through the whole process of doing. Like I want to do a bottle, that's inspired by by the Cubism movement or by Bauhaus. And as you're doing this, it's like I don't have to go through and like research like how that would be applied to this particular product and make it feel authentic. I can kind of crank that out pretty quick and go, oh, that's kind of the direction I want to go, or maybe that's not the direction I want to go. Or I can combine styles, like I said, super quick. And find, all right, maybe I need to be in this direction. And then, of course, you go in and actually design it. Like this isn't delivering the finished piece, but it's getting us pretty close.
Yeah, that's even with the photography stuff that I'm doing. I'll end up getting two different renders that, this one has something I like and this one has something else I liked, or this one was great, but it just put some weird artifact over here. And so I can just go into Photoshop and kind of correct that, take it out, combine a couple of different renders to get just the thing I want. So it's not always like it kicks out the perfect thing. That's actually very less likely, but it gives me something I can work from, and then I can build off of that. So for me, I'm very much I know it when I see it. So AI is beautiful for me because it gives me a lot of options pretty quickly.
You know what? And that's the one thing that as designers we hate is when a customer, a client says, oh, it's not that, but I'll know it when I see it. But we're kind of the same way as designers. We know where we want to go. And if we see it, we're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, AI, you can crank out hundreds of these.
Yeah.
And at this point, are you, you're way past the free version.
Oh yeah.
So
most people I talk with and try to bring into this, they try the free version and they can't really get anything before they run out of credits.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I didn't really get anything. I'm like, yeah, just go paid right off the beginning. But yeah, I'm well past that. I'm basically just trying to, I'm using the unlimited version. If I do $30 a month or something, it's unlimited. Yeah. And then I just keep everything on relaxed mode. It doesn't take that long to render stuff. I'm not worried about rendering really fast. So I just use that and just keep going because that's the most economical for me. It's just to keep trying stuff and exploring. And I think it's one of these tools. I had a friend who's an artist who I think initially felt kind of threatened by this technology and what it meant for
Yeah.
his livelihood, because that's what he does now. He sells his art, and that's all he does. So what does this mean? And so we had lots of discussions about it, and really once he tried the software, until he actually used it, he wasn't sure. And then as soon as he used it, he sent me a message, and he's like, hey man, here's the first render. I used it to get a prompt, an idea for what I wanted to do as a painting. And he's like, I'm hooked. So
Yeah.
it's great in so many ways. It's just another tool. It's just Photoshop. It's just a digital camera. I mean, it is going to be disruptive to the photography industry. There's no doubt that this will be as disruptive as the transition from analog to digital. But it's definitely, just another expression, another way to do this. And I think that it will help us, push the craft even further.
Yeah, no, it's fun that you mentioned your friend, feeling threatened and then going all in, right? But
Yeah.
that's the experience that I've had. A lot of designers saying, that's not, it's not good, it's not fair. People are putting in prompts of specific artists, and it's like you're taking their style and using it without their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
100%, people can do that.
Yeah.
But as designers, you're creative enough that you don't need to do that. That you can focus on style and texture and all these different things. And all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I can create a million things before breakfast
Yeah.
and have my day set. So now I know what I'm doing. It's super, super helpful. And you're right. It's just another tool. So what are you most excited about?
I mean, I'm on fire. It's like I haven't felt this way since I got my first camera. I don't think it's just been this amazing new world opened up to me, especially at this point in my career. I'm kind of looking for what's next and what I'm going to do. And this is just like, wow, I can do so many things now. And, I started my career obviously shooting a lot of things. That's what you learn, and I enjoyed doing a lot of stuff. And when I first started my business, although I knew I wanted to focus on food, I was not the food guy. I shot diapers, I shot Tide boxes, I shot everything, and I enjoyed a lot of the people stuff and some of the other things we got to do. But once I became known as, the food guy, then everybody thought I couldn't shoot anything else, which is fine. I started getting really premium food assignments, but it kind of pigeonholed me into that. And what I'm finding is this gives me an opportunity to explore and enjoy other things without a lot of expense, of going, like we talked about with the models and things. So I can just explore and do stuff, and that's what's really exciting for me is I feel like the shackles have been taken off, and I can do anything now. Because why wouldn't you hire me to create those images of San Francisco in 1974 now? I don't have to be just the food guy. I can do those other things too.
No,
Just
100%.
applying my vision to that.
And it's funny that you mentioned that San Francisco shot. I saw that post and I went, I like jumped into Midjourney immediately. And I'm like, okay, here's, I wanted to see packaging. I wanted to see like Heinz ketchup bottles in a diner in 1953 Oklahoma with like the sun coming through the window, and the results I got back were insane. And, it was like a Polaroid, and but you could see like the sunlight, you could see the dust in the sun, and you can see the same shape of the Heinz bottle. And, there's like stains on the countertop, and outside it was like dusty, and you're like, I could never have, in a million years could I have recreated this thing, as specifically as that.
It's so cool. And, to hear you talk about the things you're doing, one of the things that was really eye-opening for me, I'm in a group with some other photographers who meet via Zoom every couple weeks. And I had, of course, like run a demonstration of this one night, and showing them all what I was doing. And so since then, we've all been like coming back together and messaging each other, midweek, like, hey, here's what I did. And so we're having a lot of fun. But what really was the eye-opening moment for me was when I saw one of the girls, her name's Judy, and she's showing her work. Well, her work is very different than my work. It's very much more fine art, different style, different look. But everything she created in Midjourney, if she didn't tell me she did it in Midjourney, I would have thought that was just her work. Because she had gone into this program and produced her style using that program.
Yeah.
And I think I produced my style using the program. So I think that's what's cool is that we can, it's clear we can put our own stamp on the AI, our aesthetic and our vibe is just transmitted through that.
Mhm.
And so that was what was really interesting to me, because I had heard people say that about my work, like it looks like your work, and when I put it in my Instagram feed, it looks like the rest of the stuff, ironically. But to see her do it and to go, well, that's Judy's work, that's exactly
Right.
what she does, that was really cool.
Yeah, no, and that goes back to the point, right? It's just another tool, and
Mhm.
yeah, you can put in, I want Salvador Dali's take on this photograph or this product. Yeah, that's great and all, but if you can use it to create your own style, then that's who's going to get hired to do this type of work, because they want
Well,
you.
Yeah, and to create your own work, because what I see a lot of right now, because the tool's new, and I'm sure this happens with
Yeah.
everything as we do this, but you see a Darth Vader made of chocolate, and that's cool, but where are the applications for this? I don't see how I'm going to sell this image. So
Yeah.
for me, it's about not being gimmicky, but being
Mhm.
like what. And those are good because they explore the tools and how to use
Oh,
them. But
100%.
I try to think about what could I create that you may not recognize as AI, that you may not see it and go, oh, that's AI. You might see it and go, wow, that's cool. The
Yeah.
next thing for me is like, as a food photographer, there's a lot of times we can't get certain things in season, and we can
Sure.
use models and we can use other stuff to make that work. But what if I could do it with AI? What if I could create that with AI and get the shot I need? So that's something that I've been playing with, and hopefully, the stuff will keep progressing. I mean, I did a peach hanging on a tree, and it was like that. And I had done that for a client. I had done peaches on a tree in the studio, and elaborate set, buying a peach tree from the nursery and hanging a peach on it. Peaches were in season, but they weren't, on trees
Right.
around here. So we were hanging the peach on it and manufacturing it all and doing the light. And Midjourney did it in 2 minutes. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, out of season, right?
Yeah.
No, that's I worked. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked with a master framer, right? And we were doing gilding and sgraffito, and it was just the craftsmanship involved in doing this work was out of this world. And the one thing he'd always tell me is like, you're done when you can't tell that a human hand touched this, right? But it's still impossible for somebody to have manufactured this any other way. And that's kind of how I feel with AI. Is like that's the goal. Is I want to create something that's beautiful. It looks like somebody made it, but you can't see the fingerprint of AI on it.
Right.
That's ultimately where I think we would want to go. I'm creating bags, boxes, bottles, like you name it, any kind of packaging out there. But then I started playing with like websites. So this new vodka brand. What does the website look like for that with packaging in it? And it's creating like the entire navigation. It's crazy, and you can do like brand books for this bottle, and all of a sudden it's like, here's all the colors, here's kind of the treatments. Amazing stuff. As a photographer, then have you started uploading images and tweaking those images?
You mean to my website or to
No.
stock?
No, so like in the background, it looks like you got some oranges in a bowl or something like that.
Yeah.
Like if you were to photograph that, then take that image and then upload it to Midjourney and then tweak.
And use it. Yeah. I've done a little bit of that stuff. But I haven't had a lot of success, honestly, the way I wanted to. So I'm still playing with that and still trying to figure out how I want to bring other stuff into it. I've just done it here and there. I did bring in some basic shots that gave me like a texture I wanted, and kind of worked off that texture to get a background I was trying for an image. But I haven't had a lot of success bringing in an image and then mapping that out,
adjusting it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I'd just be interested to see if you've got that bowl of oranges, and you're like, oh, add a banana.
Yeah.
Right? Like just being able to tweak it that specifically.
Yeah, no, it's. I think we'll get there. I mean, I think we're moving so fast. We're on version 4 of Midjourney, and I think we'll be on version 6 by February or March. So it's moving fast. Yeah,
for sure. You gave us some tips on the photography. What about lighting? Like what's some what's some key lighting that you use?
Honestly, the best one for me is natural lighting. If you just say natural lighting,
Mhm.
you can say cinematographic lighting or studio lighting. I've seen catalog lighting, and those all work depending on what you're trying to create. So in your case, for the bottles or the packaging, you might want catalog lighting. It tends to be a little more specific to that. But natural lighting seems to work the best. Cinematograph, or cinematography, will work, but it becomes very dramatic very quick.
Sure.
So you have to be careful with that one. The natural light is the one I use 90% of the time. And then sometimes I'll ask it to add a flare, because maybe I've got a window in the scene and I want some flare coming through the window, that kind of stuff. So I can kind of tweak it that way. But mostly it's not photorealistic. I use photographic style, natural light, sharp focus, might give it FA.
So photographic style, like
is what has produced the most
like that
photographic
term?
looking images. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Photographic style has produced the most photograph-like images for me. And then natural lighting tends to be pretty good, balanced light. That's what I use in the San Francisco stuff was natural lighting. I might say sunset or dusk or something like that. But I'm really not loading it up with a lot of photo lingo. I know that it understands that, but I also find that too many prompts just start to drag it down. And then we're at that stage too where you don't really know if that had a bearing or not. 'Cause I look back at a prompt, I'm like, oh, I misspelled daylight, but it still figured it out.
But it still works.
So did that have an effect or not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's
I need
fine.
a spell
I
checker.
find those typos too. I don't think it cares at this point. It's like, I know what you want. It's like, I know you, Terry. You want this.
Yeah. I know you. You've made all
That's
these
crazy.
renders. So, but
No.
yeah.
The one I always use is I always throw a kicker in there, because it's like product photography. So I just want to get some separation between foreground and background.
So you say kicker, or do you say hard rim light? That's the other term I've used sometimes. Hard rim light will get me an edge light sometimes.
Like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I always do kicker, or I'll do catch light.
Okay. Yeah.
Like those. Yeah. But I've been loading it up with the photo lingo, and I'm feeling kind of silly now because I'm like, dude, I don't understand half of the stuff. Just like plugging them in and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Sometimes you need a thesaurus, to figure out like what's another word for this, because clearly it doesn't understand this word. So, I was trying to make a clove of garlic, and it knows a bulb of garlic, the full bulb, but it doesn't know the individual cloves. And I was looking up really obscure words for that, and I couldn't get it to recognize it. So maybe it's changed. I need to try it again. But there's some words it just clearly hasn't worked through yet. I also went to a stock photography website and said, all right, what do they call it on a stock photography website? Do they call it cloves of garlic? So I looked up what their description of the shot was, tried plugging that in, and still didn't figure it out. But
you always take a picture of a clove and then put it in there,
and then put it in there. But see if it can figure it out. So it's so fascinating what we're on the cusp of. And stock photography, Adobe has announced they're going to start accepting AI produced images, AI generated images, as long as you label them that way. So that's really cool. But I look for Adobe to buy out one of these people and really ramp it up, because they understand search. They know what people search for. They understand the verbiage. I just think this is a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, no, I've already seen some apps for Photoshop, for example, right, where I've seen in Photoshop today, you can remove a background, but now you can replace it with something, and you can actually prompt within Photoshop to generate images inside of these things. And I honestly haven't played with that yet, because it's like there's so much available at the moment. It's like I'm just trying to hone in on one thing, so I don't get overwhelmed.
Well, they've got the neuro filters now, which are kind of AI, where they're regenerating image, and the way they show it off is they take a summer image and make it winter, which is cool. But again, like how often do you need that? For me, the thing I use most in that is the harmonization, because it can take two images and then blend them together. And that happens a lot. If I'm doing a shot in the studio and I'm doing a shot in AI, the color tone, the balance, the color grade, it doesn't all match. And I can put that in Photoshop and tell it to harmonize the images, and it'll bring them together really quickly. So I'm not going in and adding all kinds of filters and desaturation or trying to make them match.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it's about speed.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's the big thing. Yeah. Nobody's looking to have to spend 3 hours post production
Right.
on AI.
Right. And then are you enlarging your AI images? Are you using a tool to do that? Because I use Topaz AI when I want to bring them up to a larger size, because obviously they're pretty small when they kick out of the program.
Wow. No, actually, I haven't gone much further than anything just on screen at the moment. But that's a great reference. So Topaz AI, check that out for increasing the size of your things. Other than that, Terry, what's next? What do you?
Wow. I'm like I said, I'm excited about where it goes. I hope they continue to refine the tools for people that are using it commercially and that need those real sharp, refinements, as opposed to where I think they're going, which is kind of making it really fun for people and engaging, which is great, but it's also less reliable for people like us that are trying to use it to repeat processes or make small adjustments. So I'm hopeful that we start to see tools. Maybe it branches off into two directions. Maybe there's a AI Lite and there's an AI Pro, that will give you more controls and stuff, dials that we could adjust things to a certain degree. Would make the user interface better. But I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're thinking about these things too, and I really think that it's just the biggest thing for me is how it's opened up my world, and then opened up, the problem is there's no creative space to focus on. Like, if I wanted to do a shot, I would be like, okay, tomorrow when I go in the studio, I'll set up some lights and I'll do that. Well, it's 11 o'clock at night. I can get up and do that on my computer right now.
Right.
I never turn off, but that's exciting too, because I can tackle it in the moment when I'm thinking of a shot or when I'm thinking of something creative. I can kind of go with it right there. I don't have to wait until I'm in a space, and I have the tools to do it in a different way.
I love that you're this excited about this. I'm equally excited about this, and I'm definitely not the youngest designer out there. So it's just, I don't know, it's like, it's reinvigorated just what's possible, right? It's not the same old thing. Even though ultimately we'll be producing the same stuff that we're doing now, but it's like, how can I do it faster? How can I do it better? It's a huge bump in excitement for design and creativity in general.
Yeah, for me, it's always been, I don't know. I've always been fascinated with the fast food industry and Dave Thomas and Colonel Sanders, and just I love this, obviously, because it's the business I'm in. But I love reading about these guys and the concepts they had and things they had. And one of the things I've thought about for years is Colonel Sanders. He was 66 before he ever started franchising KFC, and that wasn't because he wanted to. That was really because he had to. The highway came through, and they didn't have an exit at his restaurant, so it died, and he had to do something else. And I just think what he did post 66 years old, was just amazing. The empire he built. And I just always talk about my Colonel Sanders plan. Like, what's my Colonel Sanders plan? What am I going to do? And I'm not 66, but this feels like my Colonel Sanders plan has come early, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, that's great to leave off on. So just, you are a food photographer, product photographer as well.
It's mostly all revolves around food. Like 98% food photography.
Perfect. So if there's a packaging agency out there, and we get a lot of designers and agencies that listen to the show, and they're interested in hiring you to do food photography, because we do packaging is all about food, all about the photography. Is there any one specific area, or just all food?
Just all food. Yeah. Anything
Perfect.
food related for film, video, packaging, point of purchase, menus, any of that stuff. Yeah, and they can find me at terrystudios.com. TERI, spelled like a girl, terrystudios.com.
Awesome. Cool. Terry, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I look forward to seeing what you're posting on LinkedIn. I'll have your
Okay. Pretty wild, huh? the creative aspect of it to me is really interesting. They talk about San Francisco, and they're talking about that, but what he did is he created a bunch of images from 1974 in San Francisco, and he created it. I can't remember exactly if it was in a restaurant or what it was, but all the people were dressed in that way. The cars on the street, the whole environment was 1974 San Francisco. So that's just one example of the creativity that is possible with this type of thing. I use a tool called DALL-E, DALLE, which is different than Midjourney. I find Midjourney is not really keeping up as well as the DALLE. DALL-E is the same company that is doing the Chat GPT company called OpenAI. The Chat GPT is for text, and the DALL-E is for images. They also have pretty good capability of adding your own images into the photo. So if you create a photo or a video, you can add your stuff to it as well. And there's other stuff, something called in painting, which is another technique. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in that space, and there's no doubt in my mind that there'll be people who specialize in various things. Like this guy specializes in food. But just to think about it for a second, using a TV as a back screen, and then projecting your images to that TV to create a set is really brilliant in many ways. The lighting in particular is really good on a TV, especially some of the newer TVs have incredible clarity and so forth. So I think that's really interesting. I don't think you need an 80-inch TV. I think it's just a matter of what it is that you're making a picture of. If it's one of your products, maybe just a 40-inch TV is fine if you get close enough. So anyway, I'd be curious if anybody has any thoughts or reactions to what we saw. Samara, what do you think?
I would love to have seen some more images. I mean, it's one thing to talk about it, but to really wrap your mind around what the possibilities are is maybe less than ideal. For example, I can't be bored. And I was playing with it myself as he was talking, and may I share my screen?
Yeah, I think. Hold on, let me
You have to
figure
let
out
me
how to do that. Yep, I
I
know.
had that.
This is hang on. This is let's see. Okay, now you can
All right, let me
hopefully.
try and do. There we go. So do you see what I see at the moment?
Not yet. It's low. Okay, now I can.
Okay, there we are. So I was just mucking around, and so I drew this this image out of DALL-E as a 1970s kitchen with the focus on the table, and then tried to drop my bottle in there, which my bottle image has problems of its own because we took it outside, and so there's glare up here on the top of it where you can see shadows, and I tried to soften that, and it's not exactly working, but we're just listening and goofing off at the moment. But so I'm hearing what he's saying, and I'm sort of understanding the gist of what he's saying. But it really would have been helpful, I think, to be able to see some of what he was discussing.
Yeah, if you go to Instagram, it's Terry Studios,
Okay.
TERI Studios, and you'll see a ton of his work. Particularly his work with people, fascinating. He also has a YouTube channel, I believe, where you can see a lot of this stuff. So yeah, there is stuff, and that the fellow who is doing the interviewing, he has a podcast. He's a pretty interesting guy, the packaging guy. So the problem I have really is synthesize, just like you just said, kind of synthesizing it all and making it consumable by people that are just being introduced to it. So I decided that the conversation was most helpful in that particular case, as opposed to examples, which maybe we can find some videos or something with a little bit better examples. But the thing that really struck me more than anything else was the enthusiasm for both of these creative people, right?
Yes, and
Instead of so many people are doom and gloom, oh my God, AI is going to do this. And here are two leading figures in the creative industry, and they are beside themselves. They're so excited. And that was really one of the main things I wanted to share, was the potential for something that you really hadn't thought about before, or you're hearing what I call a lot of FUD, just to protect existing interests, I guess.
Yeah.
But
definitely, if I got nothing else from this class, this AI stuff has been, because I'd heard about it, but I was nervous about it and interested and nervous, and just that you showed us that first week, I was like, oh wow, cool. This is worth playing.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and as I've said here, particularly more recently, I personally think the visual is going to become more and more important for all of us. I believe live video, all of this is about engagement and creating emotion with our customers. If you look through Terry's Instagram, you'll see some incredible atmospheric sets, if you will. Like you just showed that table with your product on it. Once you kind of figure out how to do that, you can just create things that you just wouldn't have the budget to do in any other way. And I think if you narrow down your focus, maybe it's not a kitchen table, maybe it's a field, maybe it's your juice going down a river on a raft. I don't know. There's so many things you could do, to tell stories. And if you think about it in a campaign type style, like, we want to have a start and a finish. We want to have an objective. What we're trying to do, we're trying to communicate that you can take our elderberry on a picnic, or you can take it on a hike on the Appalachian Trail, or whatever. You get my point. And the campaign thinking is really what I like about it. It gives you a start and a stop, and it gives you the ability to tell a story to a very particular audience, and to do it affordably and reasonably and with high quality, right? I mean, I'm not much of an artist personally, but I can create stuff that's way above my pay grade using these tools. And so I personally really like that. Anyone else want to jump in on this?
I've been using
Branson.
it with my clients now for about 6 months. A lot of the artwork for their T-shirts, and we did a zombie T-shirt around Halloween, and it was all done by AI. So a good way to think about it is kind of look at what you're trying to do and really tell the AI, prompt it exactly like, I need this on the back counter, and put it down and give it the colors. And I've learned that when you're working with it, when you just basically tell it everything you need, it's going to render out a couple suggestions. And then in those suggestions, you can then pick the one that best goes with what you're trying to do, and re-render inside of that, and bring out even more renders of that one suggestion that's going down the line that you want to go with. So hopefully that'll help people.
Yeah. I think there's not much of a substitute for actually playing around with it. And there's a lot of tools out there, a lot of different products. Samira talked about DALL-E also. I just find that works the best. Maybe I'm not really pushing the envelope that much, but for me, it delivers. Like, one of the things that I have done with it is I have a grandson in London who loves to color. So what I've done is I've created pictures of horses and our farm in coloring book style. So I had him he's really big on marching around in his little army uniform. So I made a lot of scenes around London where he lives, in coloring book style, Buckingham Palace, changing of the guard, Black Watch, all that kind of stuff. With a little, and I'll say, put a little boy in a parade around Buckingham Palace, coloring book style line drawing. And then I just email it to his father, and his father prints it out and he colors them. And he's got a ton of them. You can't get that anywhere else, right? It's very specific to him. I've got him riding on one of our horses, flying over the barn, just stuff like that he could never, you can't get that anywhere else. So that's the kind of stuff I've been doing with it, kind of grandfather stuff, but and I'm really terrible at it, but and I had not figured out how to accurately put my photographs in there. I'd like to actually put our horses in there if possible, but I can't seem to get it to fit right or be in, proportion and all that kind of stuff. Haven't gotten that far yet, but that's the kind of stuff that I'm doing with it, is trying to, do stuff for my grandkids. So for what it's worth. Lisa, did you want to say something?
No, I didn't want to say anything. I'm just sitting here getting ready to head back home.
Okay, good. Well, thanks everybody for coming today.
One
Tomorrow-
thing, did you get
Go ahead.
he was saying something about the packaging, and I put it in the chat to make sure that was the right website, idpdirect.com.
Yeah, I'll put it in our Facebook group. The guy that was doing the interview is the head of product design for that company, and I'm friends with him on LinkedIn. So I'll get his contact information, so that, and I'll put that in the Facebook, because I don't know what to do with it when it's in this chat. That's it, right? It's gone. You can't ever see it again. It's somewhere. It's on a recording, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I'll put his Elio Matos is his name, or Elliot Matos, I guess, and I'll put it in the Facebook group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Tomorrow, believe it or not, will be our last class, and we're going to go through how to go live on TalkShop Live, which I hope all of you do, because it is free. So we'll be kind of going through that process and taking a look at what's involved with that, and maybe take a look at some of the shows that are on there. I'm still negotiating with them. So if you guys sign up for accounts, even if you don't immediately do it, that gives me leverage in negotiating getting our own channel. Okay, I can say, hey, we got these folks who would be in that channel. And I don't know if we can get away with Got to Be NC channel, or I don't know what we'll call it, but I want to do something that identifies our group and our companies, so people know what that channel is about. They have a rock and roll channel, they have an art channel, they have all these different channels, and immediately by the title what it is. So I want to try to do the same thing for us, and you also would be free to do your own shows, yourself whenever you want. But I do like the idea of having a aggregated channel. Just if I can get support for that, then I think we can promote that. Maybe we can get some folks who are willing to, like the state marketing might put that in an ad or something, try to drive traffic to it. And we may try to plan an event, around something, and maybe 4th of July or something, where we have a show and everybody can come on and participate in that. So, all right, that's it for today. Thank you all very much. See you tomorrow.